I think the way you just said fuck around and find out might be better than the you get the rod comment you made last time or 2 times ago.
Too bad no one will ever hear it.
I'm actually disappointed by this. Like, I'm very upset that didn't kick in time to record that, but that's okay. All right. Guys, you know what I'm going to ask is, do you want to get them out of your system, or you probably want to reserve them tonight, right?
Save it for later.
Yeah. Based on what tonight holds, that's probably fair. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war, and tonight there is only Warhammer. Welcome to the Tainted Hive, our first season of the Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Maledictum podcast. I'm your GM, Brad, guiding our ragtag group, and joining me tonight are Justin, Eric, Mike, and the still alive with a broken arm, Alex. Gentlemen, happy Warhammer. Can you believe we're at episode 19?
I can't believe you're still saying Alex last.
Well, this time it was intentional because I had to throw in the caveat of the broken arm, you know?
Sure, Brad.
I think I had some kind of mental lapse or something, because until you said that, I totally forgot that I have a broken arm. That's not great.
That's a testament to Dimitri's
it's
medical skill.
Collarbone, right? Collarbone?
Yeah.
Collarbone.
Yeah.
It's a testament to Dimitri's medical skill that you don't even notice that it's hurt.
Yeah, he must have given me some really good morphine or something.
What is Dimitri's morphine? Is it just like bathtub vodka?
Probably like a leather strap or something.
Here, bite down on this.
Yeah.
Take this leather strap and everything will be okay.
Pet the fuzzy.
All right, well, last time on the Tainted Hive, you all made your way into these huge pipes through the bowels, an area that you will later come to know as the Pipeworks. And as you entered into the Pipeworks, you were ambushed. Now, you weren't immediately inside, but you were bitten. And as these 6 individuals were firing off shots and 4 of them slowly dropping down, you kind of manifested your own destiny, where a couple shots, the terrible aim missed Dimitri, and a couple shots terribly aimed missed Roderick, and one of them bounced off of a pipe and hit one of the other dregs as they were dropping down on you. And then Mordecai, you definitely tempted fate by saying, with just your luck, I'm going to get hit, and you sure as heck did. The surprise did not help you, but you did manage to pull through with first just a bleeding condition and a broken collarbone. And as you all laid into them with weapons and with Quentin, I believe the term was microwaving them, making them human microwaves. Or what'd you call them, Mordecai? A hot pocket? You asked if the inside of the hot pocket was still cold?
Hot pocket.
Yeah, right.
As this all panned out with this warp event in the upper echelon on those 2 pipes that dropped down, you actually fairly quickly made good work of these dregs, minus the 2 that got a couple surprise shots off on you, Mordecai. And as this happens, this is a pretty quick and easy one, where the next step was Quentin running ahead, purgating his warp charges and promptly causing everyone who entered that zone to forget small details like names, why you were there, and other small memory items for the next 10 minutes. Now, you did manage to get Quentin healed up, Dimitri. You got Mordecai's critical wounds dealt with, so he is not at risk of dying at this point. But Mordecai, you are low on the wounds table, I believe.
I got some back from a heal.
You got some back, but I didn't.
Oh yeah, I only got half back. So
I was gonna say,
yeah,
I thought you were still like
low.
6 or 7, right?
I'm ragged. Yeah, I'm at 6.
Not quite ragged. I'd give you rough and tumbled over ragged.
If you had half of your life essence, would you describe yourself as I'm okay?
Sounds like Monday.
All right, you know what? When you put it that way,
I'm doing fine.
I'm great. So Quentin, you purged your warp charges. I've got you back at 4. And
that's correct.
Dimitri made the most important step, which was to take the Auspex that Roderick had given him with the wrong batteries and flip them the right direction to get it working again.
Yeah, that was my bad.
So you made your way over the course of the next hour and 10 minutes, exchanging oxygen bottles. So those of you who had actual oxygen needs need to make sure you marked those off last session. I think you all did. And as we left off last time,
I have one question, Brad.
Yeah.
How often can I use Medicaid on somebody? Like, I stabilized Mordecai.
Ooh.
Is there a certain time
Pretty
frame?
sure it's like once after each encounter or some shit like
Is that what it is?
Encounter.
It might be
know
like
that's-
once a day.
Well, I know that once after an encounter, that's a WFRP thing.
Well, let me
maybe
ask
I
you a
mix 'em up.
question. If I find a rat and I start initiative order with it, does that count as an encounter?
Oh, no, it says once per day.
Once per
Yeah,
day.
it's once per day.
I continued reading.
Okay, I was going to say,
Imagine that.
I think it's going to be once per day or something like that. So Mordecai and Quentin have both had their Medicaid checks done. You and Roderick have not yet. Now, that being said, you could theoretically argue with me that it's after midnight, Brad. It's a new day. And I would say, you're right, but you haven't rested, so no.
Hmm.
So, as we left off last time, the four of you reached the end of these pipes, and you looked out at what was once a chemical refinery. Yes, Mordecai.
So this might actually be a good teachable moment because I don't know how this works. But
Sure.
say we were playing D&D and we wanted to do a short rest. Does this game have an equivalent of
No.
that? It does
No.
not.
You either rest, or it's not like you can take a 1 hour short rest to recharge spell slots or to recharge your hit
Okay.
die pool or to allow Dimitri to Medicaid test on you again. Unfortunately, the
I just
grim
start
and
stuffing my rope trick
basically.
back in the bag.
the grim and the grit of WFRP is very similar here, wherein you're basically, to use you as the exact example, you are fairly SOL on your wounds until you guys get done with this.
Perfect.
This isn't heroic
Thirsty
fantasy.
AF, I believe.
Thirsty AF. Thirstier
This
for the
is-
wounds than you are for the experience, right?
Never.
And a good rest is defined in the book as between 6 to 8 hours of sleep.
Yep.
Yeah, probably don't
So-
want to do that here. Okay.
All right. So that's a great question, though. It's a good teachable moment. Good question. As you all reached the end of this portion of the pipeworks, you stepped out at a space that had a rotten, rusted pipe that fell down almost like a ramp. And it led down to what was once a portion of a chemical refinery. And that building was rusted, ramshackle, broken down. You could see what had appeared to have been some symbolism to like a shrine to the emperor, the god emperor. But the building itself glowed with a faint purple aura. And I believe we left off with Dimitri going, some turn of phrase that was either like an oh crap or a that's not good or something like that. As I mentioned that the building was glowing purple. But when we left off last time, I did say I want to hear what your characters think as you step out of these pipes. So today, as you step out of this pipe and you see this large space, there's a derelict old chemical processing station. These portions of a refinery that have, parts of it are collapsed, parts of it are fallen apart, parts of it look not pristine, but in good enough shape where you could easily see how this once functioned. The structure being this plasteel box wrapped and twisted with industrial pipes that all funneled into the actual refinery, the actual station. What would your character's initial feel be as you step out into this, monolithic, massive space and see this, and then realize everything is glowing faintly purple, if anything?
Is it an unnatural purple or just like a light?
It's glowing with a purplish light, but go ahead and Quentin, roll me an intuition. So we're going to go logic. No, not investigation. Let's go with intuition surroundings.
+0.
+0. Okay, perfect. So with the challenging +0, you recognize that this faint pulsating purple light is very much reminiscent of, given your background, given your time in void ships, this is very similar to what you would find in the spaces that navigators would be. This is very similar to the astro-telepathic choirs that larger ships might have to communicate with the Astronomicon.
So I'm getting warp.
Borderline warp feels.
Borderline warp, okay.
So the glow, while it appears to be natural, you've been around it enough to recognize that this purplish glow, the source of it, is likely something warp touched.
I'm going to share that with the party in the telepath link, saying this is giving me hints of being warp touched. Be on guard.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thought that looked familiar.
With
I
that
assume
knowledge,
No.
Dimitri's just gonna, oh, shit, and pull down his respirator, charges las gun, and get ready to move forward.
This place looks about what I expected it to look like. Shithole.
So the approach itself, the ramp that steps down, it is wide enough to be 5 people across. The rails on either side are just about halfway up your thigh high, so 2.5, 3 feet tall, right? They appear to have once been like a balustrade, and I hope I said that right. The fancy railings of stone and carved intricate stonework with lumen lamps stationed at a equidistant pace along this, what appears to be just an entry thoroughfare. The lumens don't light. The lamps are dead, shattered or broken, some of them bent. The actual path itself is pitted and cracked, the flagstones chipping away. The railing, the balustrade, has pieces missing and areas that look where acid must have eaten through part of it. As it approaches, the building itself, this refinery, this station, is dozens of meters across. So it's a fairly large station. The main thoroughfare goes to a set of double doors that you can see from this distance have to be 10 or 20 meters tall by at least 5 meters wide each, so a 10-meter wide portal. Excuse me. The front of this building also has large windows that appear to have once been made of stained glass, and those of you who are hivers know that even at the lowest levels, places of toil try to be beautiful. They try to have good art, good honoring of the Imperium through stained glass and other architectural work. And you can see that from this distance. So, as you stand on the lip of this pipe, looking out at this space, what would you like to do?
Whatever anybody else does, I'm going to position myself in the middle of the party using the Auspex as we patrol it.
Okay.
I'd like to suggest to the party that Quentin potentially take a meandering up towards the building to see if there's anyone keeping guard.
I'm gonna sit down and contemplate what the rest of my short life is gonna be like.
Real happy there.
Oh my. Okay. So Quentin, you're proposing that you go ahead. Dimitri, you are monitoring an Auspex. Mordecai, you are getting all up in your feels.
I'm having myself a rest before my final hurrah.
Okay.
I mean, strategically, do we feel vulnerable right here, or
You absolutely are in an area where the thoroughfare itself does not have good cover. You will step out of this pipe and down into a space where from the thoroughfare itself to the ceiling above is probably 90 meters, rough guess.
shit?
It's a huge space. So remember that these different hive levels are massive because buildings within can be extremely tall and multi-storied. You know, a hive level is not like a 10-foot tall level of a skyscraper. It is a entire multi-meter, houses its own high-rise type situation.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of would you feel exposed, I'm not even going to make you roll. If you step out onto that thoroughfare, you are blatantly exposed. There's no good cover on the walk up to this
And would you say
facility.
it's pretty dark, or is it kind of purple light good
The
enough
purple-
to see?
Yeah, the purple glow illuminates everything to a natural light.
Okay.
That said, there are areas and shadowed recesses because those lumen lights that I mentioned on the thoroughfare being out. There are areas on either side of the bridge, down a little lower. There are areas in corners that you can see where the darkness makes it either dim or even in some cases dark because of the glow not reaching those areas.
That's good to know. This in my head was very dark.
No.
That's why I asked.
This glow is. I apologize. This glow is fairly vibrant.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to stay near Mordecai, seeing Quentin move ahead, but I am going to be actively scanning the area with my, whatever they're called. I completely spaced on what they're called.
I don't know what you're looking for.
Binoculars?
The people. Whatever the hell they're called.
No, I don't have magnoculars, but
I have magnoculars if you'd like to use them.
Photovisor.
Yeah, I'll use them. Photovisor.
You're talking about your night vision goggles. Got it.
Yeah.
So, Roderick, you have your photovisors on right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so as you look around, you can see that on either side of the bridge, what was darkness, it's from the bridge itself to what appears to be a floor of some kind is 12 meters. So it's a decent drop, but it's not undoable. The ramp down, if you were to go left or right of it, you could actually go down around the bridge and end up on these lower levels. There is scattered detritus of rock and steel and waste just lingering around those spaces. Now, with your photovisors, you can't see much detail beyond that because it's not like it's giving you a picture clear 4K vision.
Sure.
But you can see that there appears to be a way to weave your way through that detritus and make your way up towards the actual facility without crossing the thoroughfare.
Sick.
How do we see people just hanging out, walking around? Does this appear to be a regular hive level, or is this pretty?
Give me an awareness sight. Challenging plus, actually, because of the light, challenging plus 0.
I might see something.
You might.
Plus 2.
Okay. This does not feel like, and you're not surprised by what I'm about to tell you, but this does not feel like other layers of the hive you've been in so far. There are almost, there's almost a feeling of like neglect and disarray is not
like
the right
abandonment.
word. Abandonment's probably the right word. The space you're in does not appear to be used at all. I mean, you've walked through pipes that are rusted, corroded, acid has eaten through, very obviously no longer in use, and they all come from this facility. Between the damage you see, the detritus that Roderick could see and relay, and the fact that you do not, with a plus 2, you don't see a soul. It's very different from where you've been so far.
Do I see anybody with a plus 4?
Almost eerie that you don't see anyone.
Roderick, do you want to use the magnoculars? Because you can.
I mean, it didn't seem like there was a whole lot of places to look at a distance, right? Like,
you're looking at the outer wall of this facility. I mean, you can see the whole of it, but there's not much visible.
And the area underneath was more just like a tunnel, right? So it's
not
like
quite. So this thoroughfare walks the tunnel that you're in. There's a ramp down to this thoroughfare that would then go to the actual facility. On either side of that, there's a way to go down on either side of the thoroughfare itself into an area that is even lower. It's just, it's not a tunnel though. Think of it more like,
I see. It's like a moat under a causeway kind of thing.
The thoroughfare
like
is almost
trench.
more like a causeway above, almost like, Quentin said it right, almost a moat. It's almost like this facility was built up above the ground around it, and this is the bridge to it.
Got it.
Guess we got to go in, right? Or Quentin's going up to check it out.
As Quentin's going to start wandering off, I would like to try to use my science skill to look for intrusions of warp, as well as even the warp entities and locating potentially other psychers, possibly.
Okay. All right. So you're going to use, I think it's called Sinicians.
Sure.
He manifests
I think
a
I know what you're talking
set
about.
of sinuses,
Yeah.
sniffs them out.
Just his nose just elongates.
Just starts draining.
He smells the warp in the air.
You become one of those real monsters where you're just all nose. All right.
Hell yeah.
So with the Cynician skill, what do you? I don't know this. What do you do?
So I'm just going to read what the skill says.
Yeah, tell me.
Psychers can be trained to use their connection to the Imperium to order to discern areas where real space is being or has been disrupted due to the intrusions of the warp. This allows them to detect the presence of warp entities and even locate other psychers, so long as they draw upon the Imperium to use their psychic abilities.
Oh.
Psi science requires the psychic talent, blah, blah, blah. Basically, I can detect warp phenomenon and other psychers if they're actively using it.
Okay. All right.
That's
I
clutch.
love this. I love this. And so does it tell you like explicitly what to test against, or is it just it's a skill?
That's just the skill ability, what the skill definition is.
Okay. Go for it. It's going to be so you're going to try to test for the location of another psyker.
Basically, I'm looking in general for either psyker or basically if this area that I'm about to be walking through has been warp touched in some way.
Okay.
So it's basically prevent myself from walking into a trap type of thing.
So Quentin, real quick before you do this, I have 3 questions for you. The first, your psychic static is still at a 10, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The second, does an Auspex, which shows hidden units, break your psychic static?
No, because
Okay.
psychic static also works on technological things.
I thought you had said that episodes ago, but I needed to double check. Last but not least, as you are moving forward to do this, how close to the building do you want to be?
I basically just want to get within eye shot of it to try to see if I can like see people in the windows, doors, or so potentially guards patrolling.
Okay, so for my brain, you're at this pipe. The ramp down, and I'm going to go to feet because we can all do feet really quick in our heads. Can't do meters as quickly. I don't know about y'all, but feet just works better for me. From where you are down to the bridge itself is 15 feet on a ramp. From there to the front of the building is 25 meters, which is roughly a yard is 3 feet. A meter is like 2.5.
I prefer Freedom
You just
Eagle
switch units.
That's because there's an actual
3
written,
times.
there's an actual written unit that I'm converting for you all.
This is a Imperial based game. Keep it Imperial units.
All right, let's just stick with the Queen's math then.
Can we do it all in centimeters?
Oh God,
I prefer millimeters.
7 meters down the ramp, and then
Empameters.
700 centimeters.
For
Got it.
simplicity, let's just say a meter is about a yard, so it is about 3 feet,
It's-
give
I
or
was gonna
take.
say, isn't it like
same.
2.6 feet or something?
It's damn close.
It's
3
close.
feet.
All right, perfect. So
It's close enough.
it's 25 meters or 75 feet along the bridge to the building. Thank you.
Yep.
I would go easily if I'm not detecting anything on the bridge as I'm starting to go across it. I'd keep going across the bridge to get within a short distance of the building.
Okay.
I also
So you-
want to ask before he starts moving, because
Yeah.
you mentioned in Auspex that Mike's Auspex should also be picking up anything within medium range,
An
right?
Auspex only within medium
Yeah.
range. I'm asking because Quentin is going ahead of y'all. I just needed to make sure. And
I'm
I'm
just
neither-
mentioning it. I'm sure it's on top of your mind. I'm here.
I am neither confirming nor denying that the people inside, if there are people inside this building, have an Auspex, or if there's anything. I'm not going to confirm if there's
Brad,
anyone in there or an Auspex.
I'd stop right there.
I didn't ask for any information. I just wanted to make sure it was at top of everybody's
Top of the
mind.
brain. All right,
Carry
Quentin.
on.
The Auspex
And
was
to
expensive.
double check on the stat. It says
was.
any creature or device.
Yep. Okay, perfect. Dimitri, what were you saying?
I was just saying the Auspex was expensive, and I was remiss last
Somewhere
session.
about
So
half of my original fortune. So
Half of
let's,
your original fortune is now gone for an Auspex that had the batteries in the backwards.
That's right.
All right. So Quentin, so this is why I'm asking is, so you have about 25 meters or 75 feet to the front of the building. Are you just going to be using Cynicians the whole way?
I'm going to be probably alternating between senescence, whatever, and also then just looking like some kind of awareness type of test where I'm looking for guards and movement out on the building as I'm approaching it.
All right, here's what I'd like for
I
you to
would
do.
go a little bit slow. I'm not going to like rush it.
Yeah, of course.
Because I want to make sure I'm observing things.
Okay. Go ahead, and here's what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 tests, and we're going to use the same roll for both because you're trying to do a dual observation while you walk. So it's going to be a challenging plus 0 Cynicians. which is also going to be a -10 awareness sight as you move closer. Just use the same roll for both.
Yeah, I'm going to use a fate.
Okay.
I don't want 100.
Oh, I do.
Okay, that's much, much better. 'Cause I've rolled a 7.
Dang.
About to sniff that demon.
All right, so the awareness is going to be, you said -10 on the test?
-10 on the sight. Challenging +0 for the clinicians.
So that's going to be a plus. I'm assuming the telepathic link doesn't work on this. I'm going to do +4 on that, and the other one's going to be a plus 5.
+5 for the clinicians and +4 for the sight. That makes sense. Okay. So as you make your way closer and closer, and we're just going to use the same test the whole way, you slowly make your way across the bridge, and you all watch as Quentin almost slowly, cautiously, step by step, makes his way across this bridge. And 10 minutes go by. 15. And right about 20 minutes, Quentin, you've basically like shuffle stepped your way to it. And part of why it takes 20 is not because of the distance, it's because that bridge is so pitted and covered in broken pieces of flagstone. So you're kind of carefully picking your way over them in an effort to not make one of those skitter, because while you might not be observed, a piece of rock moving and kicking along would be. As you reach the front of the building, you stop. Your last pace where we are here is about 10 feet away. The structure itself, the facade, you notice was once embellished with the words of the Imperial Creed. And these have now been daubed over and, excuse me, heretically defaced with markings and daubings. And I believe you have lore forbidden, correct?
I do, and I have 2 different forbidden skills, Psyker and Chaos, and the Chaos one is Linguistics.
Give me a lore linguistics chaos, challenging +0.
You said +0?
+0.
+2.
You can read the daubings. You recognize the half moon that is almost like a gender-like symbol. You see the differing words and languages, and as you look at it, you see one phrase above it all, smeared across one of the largest portions of text. It says, "All hail Slanesh. All hail excess."
God damn it.
Fucking knew it.
I knew this was a sex dungeon the whole time.
I immediately take my shirt off.
I knew it was a sex dungeon this whole time. I immediately take my shirt off. There are 2 different people in this party.
I'm sharing this with the party.
Now, your actual Cynicians test, you can feel that there's warp energy around you, but you don't locate any pinpointed source from where you are yet.
Yeah.
So as
I'm probably just going to keep trying to do that, but it's going to be more intermittent and not constant.
Sure. So you are 10 feet from the doors. The doors are currently shut. You haven't seen a person. You haven't seen a thing, but you have read that text. So now my question for the rest of you is, as Quentin has made his way to the doors, shared what this text says, what would you like to do? Also, Quentin, I do apologize. I need you to make a willpower test, please.
The straight willpower?
Challenging +0. It should be straight willpower.
Okay, that's going to be a +3.
Okay. Even though you can read all of the text, most of which you will not tell the others what it says, you can feel it trying to eat away at your brain. But with your willpower test, you don't actually fail to need to take the fortitude test. So you read these words and you feel the corrupting influence trying to grab at your gray matter, but you manage to push it off.
I knew it was like, the minute I'm going to read this thing, it's going to be like, oh, you're going to get tainted.
Yeah.
Or corrupted.
Well, the willpower was first. If you failed the willpower, then I was going to make you take the fortitude or discipline. In this case, discipline check. But yeah.
So, Quentin, does that mean we need a safe word before we walk in?
We always need a safe word.
Ooh.
There goes the
Pineapple.
boom.
Pineapple.
Why is everyone's safe word always pineapple?
We should gird our thoughts with anti-erotic scenarios, just in case, because you
Don't
know
worry,
what we're walking into.
I've
gonna be-
got a few. I've got a few to turn down the temperature a bit.
Okay,
So.
good. We need them at the ready.
I turn around and look at Mordecai like, you have a few ready?
Don't worry about what I have ready.
God damn it.
That lick spittle.
God, that's so.
Lick spittle is
gonna have
not a
a
trait you want going into a sex dungeon.
It's going to have a totally different meaning in this scenario.
Oh. Oh, God. All right, you three. What would you
If
like
I
to
don't
do?
actively see anyone, I'm going to say they can advance, and I'm going to try to point out what things they should look out for across the bridge.
All
I'm
right.
still going to try to move silently as I do.
Give me a move silently check, please.
Sure.
Roderick, Dimitri, are you moving with Mordecai across the bridge silently, or...
For that
I'm not trying to
moat,
cramp his style.
yeah, for that moat underneath, is it pretty easy to get back up on the bridge from down there if I decided to move underneath?
You can see that there is a way to pick your way through the rubble down there and find a way down into it and back out of it, going around the bridge fairly easily. It doesn't look like it'd be too hard. You can see from where you are, however, that the far end closest to the facility, closest to the building, would be a little bit of a climb. So it's not like you have a ramp to walk up on that side.
Noted.
Yeah, I'm trying so hard to move silently, but I'm whimpering and having a real tough time with my newly broken
bad?
collarbone. Just a -2.
Okay. So with a -2,
It's kind of on point, really.
my favorite is the outcomes sections of the GM guide. It's like -2. Have they succeeded? No, you just plain do it wrong. So as you go to make your way silently across this bridge, Quentin is telling you in your head what to watch out for, and you're almost hearing it like that's where you should step. So every space he tells you not to step into it because there's scree or there's broken flagstone or it's going to make noise, you just step into 4 or 5 of them in a row.
Dude, I'm
I'd
on a
like
lot
to
of
point out-
narcotics right now, so
If the first time he makes noise, Quentin is going to get himself up to the, like, right next to the door
Okay.
against the wall.
Okay. Right up next to the door against the wall, give me a challenging. Give me a hard -20 awareness sound test.
Awareness sound, okay. -20, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
-3.
Okay. You don't hear anything. You hear Mordecai mostly cursing in his own head, which you all can hear as he actually curses across the psychic bond while stepping into the noisy pieces of the bridge.
Awesome.
Roderick, you had asked about the moat. Are you going that way?
Looking across, is there any way to see if there's like a metal? Is the side of the building metal at all? I was looking. I have some mag boots. I was wondering if I could use those to climb up on the other side.
It's a good question. So the side of the building, it is very obviously plasteel, which is a steel composite that they use in Warhammer to construct. So it is metallic of some kind.
Okay. I'm going to start picking my way around the bottom. I'll let the others know what I'm doing in case Dimitri wanted to tag along. But
Okay, Dimitri?
I do not have those boots, so I'm just going to try and make my way across.
I think, just a heads up, I think mag boots are going to be hard to use in gravity.
it says they can be used as basically a +0 athletics climb in normal gravity or reflexes acrobatics, one or the other.
Good to know. I didn't know that.
Better
I didn't
in
either.
space,
I
but
went
they're
and
going to
looked.
work here.
They work on metallic walls or ceilings. You can use them to walk, but you walk slowly
Got
up
it.
those.
did we already have this conversation? Because I got like Con Air vibes from him.
I don't remember having this one yet. So, Dimitri, you're going to attempt to cross the bridge. Are you going to try to go silently, having watched Mordecai make a fair bit of noise?
I'm sorry, face
I
off.
can try.
Okay.
Yes, face off.
Oh, and
Face off.
I see what you're saying with face off. All right, so Dimitri, then I need a challenging +0 stealth.
Yeah. Now hang on, because my armor is loud. What's loud do again?
Oh,
Makes noise.
that is
I
important.
know what it does if it's a gun, but
I think you have disadvantage armor. I think you have disadvantage on stealth. I'm checking right now. Oh, item flaws: bulky, shoddy, unreliable. Nope, that's not it. We need traits, not flaws.
kind of armor do you have?
black armor.
So like full
on
flak armor.
flak
Yeah.
armor.
Got it.
Imposes
It's weird, though. I don't-
disadvantage on stealth checks.
Thank
I feel
you.
like flak armor
There
doesn't
it
make
is.
noise though. Like, but whatever the game says, I guess.
My shit's rusty as a bitch, dude. It makes all kinds of noise.
All right, so
All right.
disadvantage on this.
All right. 34, so that's a 43. That is a -2.
-2. So as you've watched Mordecai step where he shouldn't, and you hear Quentin over the mental link going, step in the other squares. You do exactly what Quentin said, not realizing that Mordecai had just kicked all the crunching pieces of stone into those squares, and you also crunch, crunch, crunch for the first few steps.
Maybe the whole bridge is just noisy and we don't suck. And it's just the bridge.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Roderick, you make your way
I resume
down.
auspexing.
You resume auspexing. Okay.
Auspecing.
Roderick, you make your way down into this lower space that, for the lack of a better phrase, we're calling the moat. And you, with your photovisors, see huge piles of rock, chunks of steel. You have your oxygen tank on, which is fine. And because you have the photovisors, you are able to pick your way through the space, easily stepping over some of the almost streams of acidic slurry that are still in this space.
Gross.
Making sure that you don't touch any of it, and you're watching as it's kind of snaking its way through. You see that it's literally eating away at the ground below it, hissing and steaming. You find your way to the far end, and it's still steel. It's almost like the foundations of the facility, the foundations of this refinery were also steel, driven down in, and eventually, maybe this was not always a moat. Maybe this is just where acid spilled repeatedly for centuries. But
Sure.
you have your boots on, and you begin to slowly climb up the side. So give me a challenging +0 athletics.
It's either athletics or reflexes. I'm going to go with reflexes.
You get
it's
to choose athletics or reflexes for the test, even though it's an athletics test.
It says you can make a challenging +0 athletics climbing or reflexes acrobatics test to walk on metallic walls and ceilings. Your
Okay.
speed is slow when doing so.
All right, go for it.
That is not going to help me any. That is a -2.
Okay, so as you begin to climb up this wall, you step in a space, and the mag boot sinks into the wall where the steel itself has softened. And as you go to pull back, you find that the mag boot is stuck fast. Where,
Son of a bitch.
as you look at it, you actually see that the steel itself has very small markings where some of this slurry that you had seen has run down that portion of the steel. I need you to quickly make a awareness sight, and this will be routine +20.
It is 59 out of a 65. So
Okay, with a +1. As you look to where your boot has sunk in and you look up roughly 5 feet, you see an outflow pipe that looks to have been an emergency discharge. And you see as a very faint trickle of acid is still coming out of it. Now, your
Cool.
boot is slightly stuck, having sunk into it. And it's almost like, it's not that it's like up to your ankle. It's that the very edge of the boot has basically indented into this steel. And now you're trying to pull it out. And it's almost like tar holding on to you.
Sure. How far from the bridge that I'm trying to reach up to is this sinking happening? Am I like halfway up? Could I like
you're about
do a crunch
halfway.
and reach up and grab a hold
No,
of it
you're
and
about halfway
disengage
up.
my? All right.
You've got a nice solid 20 feet. 15 feet to go because you're about 30 feet down.
Okay. Anything I could grab onto to brace myself to deactivate my mag boots temporarily?
So with a +2 with the awareness, you don't see any good markers nearby to grab. There's nothing like you're walking up basically a sheer face with a little bit of ridges. There's a couple small ridges where the steel plates come together where you might be able to wedge a knife or some other utensil to kind of create almost like a makeshift python.
Yeah, sure. I'll pull out my power knife and I'll charge it up and I'll jam that sucker in. I think a power knife should be able to
I
make
forgot
a
you had a
python.
power knife. Yeah, I forgot you had a power knife. Okay. So you activate the power knife and there's a faint hum. Dimitri, Mordecai, Quentin, give me a challenging +0. Actually, make it a hard -10 awareness sound test.
-1 you said, or -10?
-10.
That's going to be a +2.
Okay.
It's a -5.
Okay.
-2.
Okay. Quentin, you're the only one who hears the faint as the power knife kicks on. There's a faint hum that comes with it. Roderick, with your power knife on, you go to slam it home between the two plates. I'm not even going to make you roll. These are just shoddy steel plates. The power knife is going to slide right in there like butter.
Yeah.
Now, here's my question. You, as a character, would understand how a power knife works. If you don't shut the power field off and you put your weight on it, you're likely just going to carve your way down the steel
Right.
plates.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
So I would jam it in, flip that sucker off,
Okay.
then hang, disengage my mag boot, try and kind of swing back to a different spot to re-engage the mag boots and turn them back on.
Okay, so you're gonna basically grab on here. You reach down with your left arm and kind of try to tug your boot free while disengaging it. What I need
I'd
is
like to say Quentin to run over to the edge,
Mhm.
and he's going to throw down a rope.
okay. All right, Quentin runs over to the edge and throws
You know-
down a rope.
In any TTRPG system, there's one tool I know I should always have with me, but somehow failed to do in this. Rope.
Do you have survival?
Do you have
gear?
a cyber?
I do.
Yeah, survival gear. You have a rope.
It has
then.
a rope.
Oh, shit. See?
That's what I was checking. I was
You
literally
also
what I
have
was looking up.
candles.
You do have candles.
Stuck a candle in this sucker.
You know, all I can hear in my head now is Quentin looking down as he drops this rope and goes, "Oh yeah, you and your fucking rope." So Quentin, you drop a rope. Roderick, you now have the power knife in with one hand, a rope in front of you. You can easily, at this point, disengage your mag boot, grab onto the rope, and kind of yank yourself free. You don't even have to test with 2 different points of anchor.
Yeah.
So as you do that, you get your boots free away from that, and you watch as your boot pops free, the vent or the outflow pipe next to you does a little blip, and an actual fairly small blob of acid rolls down where you had just been sitting.
That sounds terrible. I'm really glad I wasn't there for that.
So as you're holding on to these, though, I'm going to say that it's really easy for you to pull your power knife back, reactivate, and pull the knife out, and just using the rope and the boots climb. You don't even have to test it.
Thanks, Quinoa. I mean, Quentin.
Huh? He barely registers and even say anything to him.
I am
He's still just looking around.
as the GM that the real name came out.
Sign of respect.
There you go.
So was Eric.
Quinoa doesn't even basically acknowledge the fact that he actually said his name. He actually is just more of like, who are you talking to? My name's Quinoa.
Quentin has owned that that's just his name.
Fully embraced it.
My new goal is to get him to switch back to Quentin.
Dimitri,
So
as you look down at your auspex, you see blips, multiple blips, on the opposite side of these massive steel doors. Now, the doors themselves are rusted, pitted, pockmarked from what appears to maybe be acid rain coupled with who knows what other chemical issues. But they also have marks on them like las bolts, solid state rounds, like as if the doors have been shot at before. Both
are there
doors-
any?
Go ahead.
Are there any connection interface points to try and open this door?
No, these are old school doors. As you look up, I'm not going to make you roll because the symbol is so dang big. As you look up far enough, you will see the skull and cog of the Mechanicus, the Mechanicum. But the actual kind of like keypad or electric activation, there's an old system sitting actually almost like an old entry pad that's been ripped off, the wires hanging loose. It's very obvious that these doors are just shoved open these days.
How high are the windows besides the doors?
15 feet to the ledge.
We could get up there.
Intentionally high enough that climbing in for any reason would be tough to make you go through the doors.
We could do it though.
You could do it.
But not impossible.
Not impossible. So the way I have always envisioned standard Imperial construction in most areas until you get to like higher levels of the hives or, non-hive cities. The active perception of the construction is to be beautiful, to bring honor to the Imperium, but also be extremely functional, which means hard to steal from. They can't have their tithe walking off.
You said the
I'm
scanner
about to
is
deposit a tithe.
detecting things right behind the door, or
On
is
the
it like
other side of the door, a bit of distance. So he's got medium range from it. They're kind of at the edge of the scanning distance.
that's fine? I just want to make sure they're behind the door, basically, not like off to the sides of the door, like along the walls.
So if you're holding an Auspex and you were to look at the door, it doesn't give exact direction per se because it's that circular motion, but you would see that there are 3 blips straight ahead and a couple more kind of diagonal right.
Diagonal, right? So along the wall somewhere down there.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, but just in general direction down the right wall.
Correct.
All in the same zone?
You don't know.
Can't see in there yet. Open the door slightly, drop a vortex. No.
You could.
Not like
guess
they
before-
notice you. You could just walk right in. It's fine.
They might notice the door's open now.
It's another draft.
Talking to the party in the telepathic link is like, all right, well, how do we want to do this? I can try to go in silently. If we want to either go through the door, or I could try to go through the door, or we could try to get someone through the window.
I look at Dimitri, not understanding how the Auspex actually works, and I just ask, any other points of entry on that thing?
How big of a bomb do you got?
I mean, we've got a lot of bombs. Got a few.
Do we want to go loud now or wait a second?
I believe the phrase we are looking for is "go loud for unicorns."
Real quick, Quentin, you succeeded. I don't want to interrupt Go Loud for Unicorns, but hang on. Quentin, you succeeded on your awareness sight check with a +4.
Yes.
So as you've now moved to this portion of the space, and as you kind of are looking at the doors, the others have moved up. With that awareness check, as you are looking around, as Roderick is asking about other entrances, you look around and you realize that you overlooked something very, very quickly, very faintly. And off to the far left, where this catwalk, where this promenade walks, you see this dilapidated old, and it's up high. So off to the left and up high. So from the doors, left and high. There's an old industrial building, almost like a hut, made of what appears to be chunks of corrugated steel and everything else. As you are looking, and as your party is discussing how to enter the building, you realize that you don't know how you missed this, but there are faint lumens, like candles or small lights within this building, lightly illuminated. And as you watch, the door swings open, and out walks an individual in tattered garb, dyed a blend of browns, purples, and blacks, holding some kind of a weapon. And as you see, they step out, and you see the faintest little of a flame, followed by the light of a cigarette.
Anytime you react to, the minute the door starts coming up and I'm just opening and see this, if I have any time to react, I'm going to grab everyone of the party I can and shove them towards the wall.
Okay, I will absolutely
Or pull
allow
them
that
towards the
reaction.
wall.
You can shove all of them into the alcove.
Somebody has arrived at Bradley's house.
And again, in the telepathic link, as I'm doing this, is saying, guard on the wall. Top left.
Okay, so it's like this little building up on a cliffside right above. and it just kind of steps down in. I have no idea what they just did. My dogs just walked up to my office door and started barking at me.
We love our dogs, but God, they're loud sometimes.
Oh my God. And of course I hear this, and then my wife is going, guys! I'm like, how did they get to my office door in the first place? Okay, so yes. So Guy walks out, begins to light a cigarette. You shove everyone into the shadows in reaction. Dimitri and everyone else, you're pressed into this space where the door is. There's almost like a framing of the columns of stone plasteel. And Quentin, you watch as he lights a cigarette, takes a couple small puffs, and does one of these like kind of looking. You realize that he's watching the entire promenade that you had walked across. And how you guys didn't get noticed is beyond you. Maybe he's an idiot. Maybe he just absolutely failed an awareness check. You're not sure, but he's looking while smoking the cigarette at the promenade that you had just crossed. And seeing nothing, kind of sits down with his back against the building, stubs out the cigarette, and just sits, watching.
So he's up in our top left area.
Yeah, so imagine that the path you crossed, right? The doors were directly ahead of you. Up to the left high, and this you didn't see it at first because you were looking at the building itself, not the cliff and other spaces. Cliff isn't right. It's an industrial cliff. It's a steel wall. But there's just like this little hut up there. It's not a balcony. It's even higher than that. So it's almost like the factory has a wall up behind it where there's just other buildings that probably at one point maybe they stored things for the factory. They might have been places for people to live. You're not sure, but there's just one of them with like these corrugated walls that he's sitting against.
Just so I understand it. So say we're basically pressed up against the wall.
Right.
Now it's basically off to my top right if I'm looking away from the building.
Correct.
Is he on the wall, like looking at the bridge perpendicularly, or is he like on the building looking out to the bridge?
He would be in that ask. He'd be more on the wall. So there's like a little, I'm going to call it for lack of a better term, a cliff that is separate from the facility itself. And he's on that.
Got it. I'm kind of picturing it like a treehouse on top of a separate building, sort of.
Kind of. Like it's really described as, it is described blatantly as a cliff, but you're inside a lower level of a hive. So think of it like huge steel beams that lead up to almost like a plateau or a platform that was probably at one point used to store industrial goods that then fed down in. Now, as you look at this, Quentin, you see that there is a path from that hut into the temple by going down a small ramp. So it does access the temple.
I just want to make sure that if he's looking out, he's not going to be like basically able to just look over and see us, or if we're basically kind of like under him, where he would have to get.
Oh no, you're not under him. No, you're not under him at all. He is far enough back where if you are to step out, if they are a step out of the door, you likely will be seen unless you get away without being caught. Because he can now, from where he's sitting with his back to the hut looking out, he can see everything from the door to the pipe you came from.
That's what I was asking, trying to figure out is. So basically, he's just basically turn left, see the door, turn right, see the pipe. And so we're basically off to his left and in the darkness if we were...
Correct.
Okay. If we're right up against the door, I am going to try to back slowly into the door, quiet-like, to see if I can push the door to slide it, start opening it.
Joke's on you, it's a pull.
You shove all your weight into it, and then you realize that the door says pull in low Gothic. The doors
again. I'm doing this very gently, and if I feel any kind of like it's going to start scraping or anything, I'm going to stop. It's basically I'm trying to do this very quiet, and subtly.
So you're going to put your back into it, put your weight into it, and try to judge if it's going to scrape or squeak or make any kind of noise as you do so. Give me...
And basically judging the resistance of it.
Yeah, I understand. Let's go with... I think it's going to be intuition surroundings. I just wanted to see if there was something a little more fitting, but... Yeah, we're going to go with intuition surroundings. Give me a challenging +0. Actually, make it a hard -10. Intuition surroundings.
Intuition surroundings, that's going to be a +1.
Okay. You lean into the door. You plant your foot into the step and you begin to push, and you feel that half little resistance that you know it's going to screech if you push.
Is there any opportunity for me to grab it and try to lift it as I'm doing it to try to get it off the ground?
No. So these doors are 15 meters tall by 5 meters wide of old slabs of steel.
Yeah, I'm not trying to like lift up, but basically trying to like see if I can inch it type of thing. Just kind of like little hops instead of scraping.
Oh, you're trying to just kind of like... I tell you what, you can try. It has a handle, so you can try.
15 meters of
yes.
steel door? I don't think you can open that anyway.
That is going to be if you're trying to lift it so that it doesn't scrape while you shove little by little, that is going to be a very hard strength check.
Hey, Brad.
Sir.
How high up is this hut? Could I throw a baseball at it? Could I throw a baseball that would light it on fire up it?
Knowing how far we can throw baseballs, yes, you could. It's not that far. It is. It's about 35 feet up, and from where you are in the door, it would be 25, 30 feet away max, but minus the climb. So you're probably looking at about a 45-foot throw.
Okay. If I wanted to give it a good underhand toss,
Underhand won't get you there. Not that distance. You're going to need to huck it.
I feel like grenadiers threw underhand all the time.
Maybe Dimitri, as our resident expert here, am I incorrect?
No, that's overhand.
Okay.
I'll huck it overhand. That's fine.
All right.
I was just trying to be subtle about it. It felt more subtle
Depends
to
where
go
you
under.
throwing, dog.
Throw it up, apparently.
You are throwing up.
I'm thinking.
So
So in terms of
we're
zones,
setting the place on fire now.
Apparently.
Weren't we always?
Yes, but we didn't know we were doing it already.
Well, I mean,
just so you're
in
aware,
theory, he's pretty
do-
distracted if he's on fire. So
Do we have a quieter way?
I was trying to get the quieter one.
I don't know. Ask our penumbra. I'm the loud
Yeah.
one. So
also, just to make this clear, in terms of zones from where you are to where he is, the space of the promenade in front of you would be one zone, and he would be 2 zones away because of the height of that throw. So you could, the way I envision this is you're not going to step out from the door and just go, huh. You'd have to step out from the door and kind of do like a crow hop with a throw to make it up there.
We could try to shoot him, but everything I do is at disadvantage right now.
It's very true. It's very true.
How hard is your fancy rifle to use?
You just gotta have. I think you have to have long gun. So you use your range skill.
Yeah.
Long gun is So whatever your range skill is.
Oh, all right. I mean, if you're down with another man shooting your rifle,
You can do it. Let's
Yeah, I
put
mean, I
the
think-
silencer on it. Send it.
I think it's important to understand that, again, you don't have... this is not Warhammer Fantasy where if you can do a crossbow, you can't do a longbow, or if you can do a longbow, you can't do black powder. If you can fire a gun, you can fire a gun.
Right. I just have a specialization in long gun that helps
Exactly.
with this specifically. But
Yep. And if you don't have that specialization, you just test against the base ballistic.
I do enjoy that about the system.
through the mental link, I just want to say, well, Quinoa, you're trying to open the door, and we want him to not hear it. So maybe we make a noise somewhere else for him to focus on, is all I'm thinking.
I
think
like that
there's-
idea.
There's also people behind the door, am I wrong?
You're not
Wait,
entirely
you are
sure
not.
where.
you are not wrong.
Potentially.
Yeah, you're not sure where, but yes, they are. So, gents, I love when I give you a decision that makes you have to think.
I also have
I
a
don't.
smoke grenade. Let's set that off. And then really try and strong arm this door open and then go blasting.
I could also just talk to him.
Ooh.
You could try that.
While they're doing that, Quinoa's just going to just forgetting the lift. They'll do the lift thing. He's just going to start pushing on the door.
Okay. So,
He's just like, fuck this, I'm going in.
The enemy of all TTRPG parties, the dreaded door.
impatience and doors. So as you lean into the door, Quentin, knowing that it had kind of caught on the ground and knowing it was not doing well, you are you going to try to lift it? Like you can take that very hard strength check.
Fuck it, no.
Okay, so you dig your heels
I'm
in.
just pushing.
You push, and the door goes scream, right across the ground.
While he's doing that, I would like to use my distracting talent and yell out a massive "Emperor" as he's pushing the door.
Okay.
Attempt to distract that guard.
Okay. I would also like to point out that once I get the doors open up for not big enough for me to slip in, I'm immediately going to go through the door at like a full run.
Okay. So
I'm going to go in a little bit less full runny, but more peek my head in to see if anybody's looking.
So as this door swings open, as these doors screech open, as Quentin puts his back into it and gets them to kick open, what all of you see, is the old entrance.
Easy with that, all of you. I have not went in.
I didn't say you went in. I'm not saying any of you went in yet. This is just what you see when the doors swing open, because Quentin has decided to open them, and you are all in that doorway, having been shoved in there by Quentin to avoid being caught.
Okay.
So as the doors swing open, what you see is an old main industrial hall. The plasteel doors that screech open are daubed with similar heretical symbols that Quentin had already read. As the doors kind of swing open, you see this old industrial hall that was very obviously once remodeled to be a temple to the God Emperor. In the center mid space is a huge statue of the Aquila. Huge, like kind of mosaic construction of the Aquila, having been built out of pieces of steel and metal and kind of this glittering, multicolored, multifaceted piece. You notice that both heads of the eagles have been ripped off, and in their places are naked torsos. The wings have been pinned with body parts as the pinions. The talons each hold heads, having been spiked onto each of the claws of the talons of the Imperial Eagle. The center of this room, so on either side, there is what appears to be kind of like a stairwell up to an upper mezzanine or an upper catwalk, kind of looking down. At the center of this hall, there is an oil barrel cut in half with fire coming out of it. And as you watch, as the doors screech open, you see as 5 different cultists in clothes and armor begin reaching for weapons.
Can I do anything after I turn around and run? Because I'd like to immediately do something.
Not yet. Because you're going to have to wait and do that in episode 20. So as these doors swing open, as this all manifests, guys, when we pick up next time, you are in the temple. The doors are wide open. And everyone in that room is well aware that you are coming through those doors with how loud they just screeched. So when we come back...
I would like to hope that we might be able to catch them slightly off guard. In that they heard noise and they're like, what was that?
When we come back, you'll find out if they got caught off guard or not.
Doesn't sound like it.
We're going to come back to initiative order, and we're going to come back to a whole lot of fun in episode 20. So, gentlemen, great session. Great work, and I hope this works out for you.
Quentin went full Buster Scruggs and just shoves the saloon doors open.
All we need is the slightest hesitation of just, wait, what was that?
If you get the slightest, it's really going to come down to initiative order of the slightest hesitation is most likely what's going to happen. But the good news for you, Quentin, is you tend to act before everyone else anyway, because nobody sees you. But on that note...
It's all good, man. We're just going to light this whole thing on fire.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Yep. So... with that brings us to the end of episode 19. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to head on over to deadsonsco.com for the latest news, socials, other content and activities that we have. Activities. We don't have activities, but maybe we will.
We have coloring books.
We could have activities. Can you imagine if we get coloring books from... Hang on. I want a Dead Sons Company coloring book.
Bro, let's make it happen.
That's all right. That's it.
This has been another merch meeting on Dead Sons Company.
If you like what you've heard, including conversations about a coloring book for merch, please consider heading over to patreon.com/Dead Sons Company to show us some love. And as always, we appreciate you listening. We are Dead Sons Company. Have a wonderful night.